everybody, we are on to chapter 3, and one of the things that I really enjoy about this chapter is it's very similar to chapter 2, so you'll get a whole lot more practice in solving equations. But what we changed this chapter is we're going to add some inequalities in. So would you please title your notes 3.1 and inequalities in their graphs? Then at some point in time, make sure that you get that into your table of contents and have that well done as well. Your essential question for the day: how do you represent relationships between quantities that are not equal? That's why we call them inequalities. So what I would like you to do right now, would you actually write the words all real numbers x less than 4? And so since it's all real numbers x, this just means any number, we'll call it x, less than 4. So the 4 goes over here, the x has to be less than, so that gets the small side of the arrow. This was always a difficult thing for me when I was a kid. Some of you totally don't struggle with this. But when Michaela was in 3rd grade, she said, hey, what we do, we just put 1 dot by the small side and 2 dots by the bigger side, and then we make the arrow. And I thought that was brilliant. So if that's hard for you, it's a great trick. So x is less than 4. This one says 6 less than w is greater than or equal to negative 8. So this whole 6 less than w, does that mean this sign? No. In this case, you just have to read and check the context. 6 less than w really means w minus 6 is greater than or equal to. How do you do that? Yeah, you just put a line underneath it like that, to negative 8. So I would like you to have the words and the equation. We're going to do a whole lot of translating during class. Here we go. Is the given number a solution to negative 3x minus 5 less than or equal to 1? And would you actually write this down so you could go back later and figure out if you had a question, how do I do this? So then thinking, is it a solution to, what do you have to do? You do a substitution, or you just plug it in. Right, you'll be singing that all day. But seriously, you just plug it in when they ask, is it a solution? So if I was at a football game, they take x out, they put negative 4. Oops, that didn't go exactly right to where it should have been. But negative 3 times negative 4 minus 5. So let's figure out what that is. Negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. Minus 5 is 7. Is that less than or equal to 1? And the answer is 7 is not less than 1. So the answer is no. Now try this one. What do you think? Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Minus 5, negative 8. Is negative 8 less than or equal to 1? The answer is yes. So you write yes. Now, next page. Okay, here is a good little description. That's not what we're going to write, but I'll read through it. You can use a graph to indicate all of the solutions of an inequality. So this says n is less than 1. So they put a circle around on the number line around the 1. This one, a is greater than or equal to 0. So because the 0 is what they see, they put a circle on the 0. Now, do you notice? Oh, and then they colored the greater than way. This one is open, this one is closed. Do you see the difference? Because of this line underneath it, that's where we get it. So here is what we're going to put into our notes. Open circle. If it's this or this, you've got an open circle. And look, you can make a little guy out of that. And he is evidently cranky. Then, if you have something that looks like this, his eyes are like this, he is closed. There you go. So you have 2 little guys. I think this guy looks really cranky. He's yelling, and this one looks like they're yawning. But this really helps me to remember. If it's just greater than or less than, open circle. Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, closed circle. So this says graph each inequality. Now, if you need to graph each inequality, look at all of a sudden some lines just showed up. This means just, do you see how it's just one dimensional? X is less than or equal to 12. Because it's one dimensional, we just put a one dimensional line. Then I always add 2 or 3 things in. This says X is less than or equal to 12. So therefore I put a line in the middle, and what number do I write underneath that? I'm gonna write 12. How come? Yeah, because that's what I see. Now I put a number over here, I put a number over here. I personally put an 11 here because it's one away, so what should I put over here? 13, right. Now, this may sound silly, but make sure you get your numbers in the correct order. The smallest number should go on the left, and the biggest number should go on the right. Now, I look right here. Because it's a 12, that's what I put a circle around. I do not put a circle around the 12 itself. I put a circle around the 12 on the number line. Then I look. Do I color in the circle? Yes. Okay? Color in the circle. Now it says X is less than. If that's the case, I go the less than way. So I just go squiggle, 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 and then please fill in the arrow at the end because it goes off the number line. So negative 12 bazillion 42 fulfills this inequality, but you don't actually see it on here. So you always do an arrow to the end. So would you take a moment, pause the video, and do these two? All right, so this one, t is greater than, so open circle over the -1, greater than, make sure you have -2 over here and 0 over here. Sometimes negative numbers people put in the wrong order. Now you'll see that, I did the open circle around the 9, but then I stopped because which way do you color? Do you color to the right or do you color to the left? You have to be careful when the letter is on the right, you have to actually think through it. This says n is bigger than 9, or 9 is smaller than n. So if n is bigger, you've got to color the bigger than way. So it takes a little bit of thought. Make sure you're careful. This is one when I make answer keys. Sometimes I get them wrong because I'm going too fast. So take your time, actually think it through what happens. All right, now what inequality represents each graph? I'm going to pause for a second. You pause and make 2 inequalities. Do you agree? I said X, you can use any letter. X is less than, and I did -3 because that's what was circled. This one I did X is greater than or equal to. Why did I do that? Yep, because it's full. Greater than or equal to 0. And look at this, we're to the check. So we'll stop there. That's it for the notes right now. 8 minutes, 22 seconds. Awesome. See you tomorrow.